Hey everybody, my name is Rafael Concepcion. I am a photographer, director, author, and professor. About a week ago, I had posted this op-ed at my local Syracuse paper. And I was talking about the fact that about an hour away from here in Geneva, there was a Mexican store. And the owner of the Mexican store had posted a message on Facebook and was just like, listen, with the way everything is right now, if you're afraid of leaving your house, I would be more than happy to take your order over the phone and bring it to you. That was very moving for me because I'm Mexican, right? I'm Puerto Rican. And these people look like the people that I grew up with. They look like the people that were my family. And here we are in 2025, people hiding, right? A person that came into the store was just like, it feels like the Fugitive Slave Act again. And that really kind of bothered me. So I cried the entire way home, right? And I had written this op-ed about it. And I went back and I took a look at it. I started noticing people were just like, illegal, get out, let's find them, let's do this, let's do that. And I'm like, Central New York is like the cradle of a lot of these rights issues, right? Like an hour from here, like actually not even a half hour from here, Harriet Tubman lived in Auburn, right? The suffragette movement started the Seneca Falls Convention. It's woven into this fabric, and yet here we are with people hiding. And forgetting about the hiding part, the part that kind of really bothered me is that there was this gap in information, right? There is a lot of information about the United States Constitution and about an individual's rights that people just don't understand, right? People keep talking about waiting in line, and I'm like, does everybody understand that the average wait time for a Mexican national to get a green card to come into this country is over 20 years? Or that for an Indian American to come into this country, there's been talk about 60 years? So when people talk about getting in line, at best, I would hope that these individuals are ill informed, or at worst, that the information is just insincere. But I was like, how, if that's an information problem there, then what about the immigrants themselves, right? The people that are doing all of this work here in the backbone of the United States. Who's informing them? Who's talking to them about their rights? So I sat down, I was driving home, and I've just been in this state of just like paralysis, and I'm sure you've been too, where you're like, I don't know what to do. Like what step do we take? But then that paralysis turned into anger, and then that anger turned into action. So I created Vigia. So Vigia is an app that's designed to provide resources to individuals to understand their rights and know how to be able to interact with law enforcement. So we just want to bring information out there. And by we, I mean me. Did it upstairs in the kitchen. But I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about it. So first off, we have a map, right? So here are some individual areas, right, in the event that you need to be able to see anything here. And these are all dots. They're just test dots before I actually release it. But should you want to inform the general public of something that you see publicly, right, I'm going to click on add a mark, and then right here at the mark, and well, is that ICE or police? Well, I'm just going to save it. And now the mark has been added successfully. So think of it as almost kind of like Waze when you're driving, right? You can do that kind of stuff. This is something that's going to be available to individuals. And look, we can do this in English and in Spanish. Now, that's one part. The second part is, well, what happens when people have these kinds of encounters, right? People talk about like the things of ICE coming to your door and doing things like that. There's a lot of things that people don't understand. Number one, even though you could be a citizen, even though you could be a legal permanent resident, you may not understand English. So that's a disadvantage. Second, that interaction could get worse with somebody hearing that you sound Spanish. Racial profiling is a thing. So inside of this one section, I created an encounter section. So this is using Whisper AI, and the entire premise would be hit the record button and put it near the door. And as soon as you start talking, This is going to translate all that information for you. Not bad. However, if you respond and they notice an accent, profiling is a thing. I used some AI to generate these button responses. So now, rather than speaking, you can just hit this button.
I do not wish to speak with you, answer your questions, or sign or hand you any documents based on my Fifth Amendment rights under the United States Constitution. Can you please identify yourself? Are you with local law enforcement or with Immigration and Customs Enforcement? I would request badge numbers from all officers present.
So now we're using a voice that cannot be profiled, and we're getting that information for a safe interaction. Now, we talk about the Fifth Amendment and the Fourth Amendment and the 14th Amendment, how all of that stuff applies. I think it would shock people to be able to know that there's a lot of people that are here in the United States that say, well, the Constitution doesn't apply to me because I'm not a citizen. And I think that's the part that kind of bothered me the most. Because I'm like, the Constitution was not designed for members of the United States. That's not the idea of the United States. The United States idea was if you have 10 toes down in the United States, that Constitution protects you, citizen or not. But people don't understand that. And that's where I was just like, we got to get some information out there. So I have a section here called Rights. And that talks about all of the different things that are available to you, as well as the court cases that have been supporting these rights, so that you can read them in English and in Spanish to make sure that everybody's aware. Now, the last section, here's a scenario, and something that a lot of people would not think of. What if you have an interaction with the police? Right? We take for granted as English speakers or as people who are aware of the law that there is almost kind of like this kind of code that's involved with the statement, am I free to go? And there's a whole bunch of different things that are associated with that, like you need to be able to have a warrant or reasonable cause to be able to kind of talk to me. This is how I understand it. I'm not a lawyer. Please see somebody else for that. But if somebody interacted with me, I'd be like, well, is there a reason for you to stop me? Because if there isn't, there should be no reason for us to be able to have this interaction, nor should I talk to you about this. That doesn't happen for individuals who would have a language challenge. And even more, unfortunately, if it is just you and the law enforcement officer and no one's around, what incentive would he have to tell you, oh yeah, you're free to go? So instead, I have a section called Proof. And in the proof section, if you allow the microphone and you click on this encounter, it starts recording. And as it starts recording, all you have to do is click on the buttons.
This conversation is being recorded for documentary evidence should I need it.
Which is well within your right.
Under my rights in the U.S. Constitution, the 4th, 5th, and 14th, I do not have to answer any of your questions unless you have a signed warrant from a judge that you can present me. Do you have one? Yes or no?
And it continues with these questions, and obviously we want to be able to ask the big question.
Am I free to go? Yes or no?
And if they say you're free to go.
Thank you. I have documented this for my records. Have a good day, officer.
No need to be brusque. You could be polite. But more importantly, when you stop that recording, it'll save all of your recordings, the date, the time, the GPS location of where it was, as well as your ability to be able to copy that link and send it to your friends or loved ones. This is a tool that I built in a week by myself using AI systems, and that is a separate conversation altogether about the power of AI and how that can be used to lift a lot of these different types of communities. Bolt.new is a site that I'm using to be able to kind of develop this stuff. 11 Labs is what I'm using to develop this stuff. But the bigger picture is we have the opportunity, I have the privilege to at least try to do something rather than just sit there and be like, I don't know what to do. So I built this. Right. Am I scared about releasing it? Yeah. Am I don't know what the bills are going to look like. I don't know what happened. I even debated about the whole donation thing at the bottom because I don't want the goodwill to kind of be erased. for it. But I also wanted to make it seem like, and it was almost kind of like this thing about DEI that keeps being talked about there. I see all these people trying to do all of these different things. And one person sitting in a kitchen can do this in a week. Now we just got to get it out. We just got to tell people about it. We got to be able to help people, inform them of their rights. That's all I want to do. So I'm making this video now. I'm probably going to send it. I'll send it on TikTok, and I'm going to make one in Spanish. But I wanted to share it with you, and I'm hoping that you take the time to actually share it as well, right? Vigia.co.